Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Elder. I'm from Correlate Talent. Hello. We're very lucky to have been picked for this, so we appreciate that. Correlate Talent is building modern solutions for talent-centric businesses. A talent-centric business is any company whose primary asset are people or the flow of people. To give you an idea, there's over 700,000 professional services firms in the US alone. If we narrow this down, there's 300,000 firms and agencies that just do staffing and recruiting globally. And making all this work are 3.5 million recruiters and professional recruiting professionals. The key to talent-centric businesses is finding the right talent and pairing it with the right opportunity at the right time. When you do this, you create value and enrich lives. When you don't, you miss opportunity and dreams are never realized. And a lot of money is being spent doing this. In the US alone, there's about $32 billion a year spent on HR tech. When you add on salaries of HR professionals and HR organizations, there's over $1 trillion spent globally in the HR space. And when it comes to the software, a lot of it's being spent on pretty antiquated systems. We hear time and time again from our customers that it's some combination of overly complex software, too many bells and whistles, bad support, complex terms, et cetera. And when you build on the web of integration partners and other options, it turns into a mess for recruiters trying to place talent. We believe there's a better way. And that better way isn't about hyperbole like the resume is dead or a magic find a perfect candidate button. It's about enabling recruiters to be good at their job and making good recruiters better recruiters. We're going to do this by curating the field of features and selecting key integration partners to offer the right features at the right size. And we call this product Correlate Talent. Right away from within Correlate Talent, when a recruiter logs in, what they're looking at is opportunity. They're looking at jobs to be filled. On one screen, they can see their pipeline of candidates. They can see where candidates are coming from. They can get a feel for where the recruiting team is and where it's going. Drilling into a job, I can instantly see my pipeline of candidates, who's working on what tasks are coming due, and at what stage in the process all my candidates are on. Clicking on an individual candidate, I can see what's going on with this particular person. Who did they talk to last? And drilling in, I can get details such as what other jobs are being considered for now or in the past. And I can do this without losing context of where I was. Taking notes is easy. You can log your activity, and we support inline tagging, so you can create sort of a connective tissue of records. So-and-so is interested in this job, so-and-so is referred by such and such. And of course, important documents are available inline as well, all without losing context. And you can search through it all on any field and through any document, any record type all at once through a very, very powerful search feature, which we think is industry leading. And our customers tell us that they love it. This first quote, just a couple weeks ago, I just demoed 17 different products and you're hands down the best. Easiest to use, I'm going with Correlate. This next one, our sourcer, since moving from our old ATS to Correlate, is saving 10 to 15 hours a week. She's reinvesting that time in marketing so she can grow her business. And the need is growing. With the rise of contingent and temporary workforces, there's an ever-increasing number of employment transactions. And whenever you have more transactions, automation and software can help. And so there's an increasing value for solutions that can reduce time and cost of placing opportunity. So far, we have pretty good traction. We have about 140 customers. We add customers every couple days. And we've been able to win business from every major player in the space. This is a team that's doing it. My co-founders and I have been in business together for 16 years. Our most successful venture was building a talent-centric business to 100 employees and ultimately selling it to Accenture. I head up product development, and Correlate will be my fourth successful product. We have very simple and straightforward pricing. We put it right on our website, including the price of data migrations and all the discounts we offer. And we've done a lot of tests for our marketing. I can tell you the ROI on all these channels, and we're exploring lots of more channels. We're already seeing industry average click-through rates and actually above average close rates. And we got a pretty healthy pipeline so far. Our CAC is closing in on 1 times customer revenue, and we are conservatively estimating our long-time LTV to be 10x. This is because we're at the very heart of these businesses. We're sticky. You don't change your CRM system very often. You don't change your talent system very often. And from what we can tell so far, every time we ramp up marketing, we kill our sales team. Every time we ramp up our sales team, we kill our onboarding team. So I think we need a bigger bucket. We've successfully raised money in the past and are currently exploring options for a Series seed round. These are some projected growth numbers. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. So we'd like to take 5 minutes for Q&A. Please, judges.
What was that, 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Hey, Aaron, good pitch. So, you know, many people use a lot of different solutions already. So what's the cost of switching from an existing solution to yours?
In terms of dollars or hours?
The friction.
Right. So to be honest, data migrations is one of the scariest things that our customers face, right? It's very scary to translate your data from one system to another. My years of experience building a CRM company has gotten pretty good at that. We're pretty darn good at it. So the friction is pretty low right now. It takes us on average 20 hours of development to do a migration. And when you sign up for an annual contract, we'll do a migration for free. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you talked about you're sticky, but people look, they don't really migrate very often, so you're a sticky solution.
Correct.
Why are you winning? Why are they actually migrating over to you? And then are you finding it challenging, your win rate, to have those customers come over?
That's a good question. I think we, for a large part, several major players in the space recently got acquired by another vendor, which people aren't necessarily happy about, and so that's sort of an impetus for a lot of change. There are companies that just go out of business, stop supporting their systems, so they're looking for a change there. They're looking to get an edge on their competition, right? You know, their old system is just not cutting anymore. So those are some of the main reasons. It's just, another competitor recently raised their prices pretty much and actually made their terms pretty onerous, so people were switching for that reason.
I was curious, your point about the growing freelance network, which is definitely true. Do you have APIs that integrate with some of the big freelancer platforms?
Not currently on the freelancer platforms. We do integrate with 10 different job boards, and I'm aware of some freelancing job boards where we could post as well. It hasn't been a requirement of customers yet, but it's an obvious place we would go, definitely.
It seems to me when I saw the UI, you said some of the things that you guys do is tell you how many calls have been done, how many emails have been sent, etc. That's a lot of integration with a lot of different systems, right?
Yep.
Good part of it is it's sticky if you get in there. The bad part of it is it just takes a lot of effort, time, and energy. And I'm not sure or convinced why people are actually spending so much time integrating all of that. And are they doing it, or is it out of the box? It wasn't very clear to me.
If you're referring to email, it's out of the box. We can basically do a server-to-server connection between your Exchange or your Gmail server. I actually have some pretty big hopes about going deep on Office 365 and integration there. We also have future plans for an integration with CTI technology. So when you pick up
So
your
when
phone,
you
we're
show the
recording.
demo that says a call came in, that is with Office, I assume. Is that how?
Well, the call is actually calls, phone calls. If you did it on the mobile app, it's automatic. Otherwise, it's manual. Emails
If it's
are
in a
automatic.
mobile app, then you have an app on your mobile that checks, hey, did you make a call?
Correct. It says, you know, you want to log this call as an activity.
Okay, it's a logging mechanism,
It's a
manual logging mechanism.
Correct.
Okay.
Emails are automated, and we automate as much as we can.
Okay, all right, thanks.
What's your, I mean, this is a crowded space, it looks like. So what's your differentiation? I was not able to get key differentiation that you guys offer.
I think our key differentiation will be execution. There's no shortage of players in this space. What we bring to the table is a deep level of consulting and product development experience. We're walking into the space, we're understanding the space, and we're executing with a simpler design built from the ground up that's purposely done for simplifying and saving time. You know, I hear other things like, you know, built for recruiters by recruiters. Unfortunately, recruiters don't always know how to build software. And so we're able to listen to what they say they want and convert that into what we think they need.
Okay. So this is not a fundamental disruption in the market.
It's not a fundamental disruption in the
bringing a
market.
better
And my personal belief is that I've seen a lot of shiny balls that people chase, magic algorithms and magic, this is the answer. This is the magic candidate button. And they often don't pan out. We want to focus on enabling recruiters to be great recruiters.
So isn't that the BI component? You didn't talk too much about the BI or the data, so making the recruiters better. How do
Yes.
you do that? And then also the tracking, like post-hire and maybe finding some new patterns between resumes that work for certain slots and don't work for others.
Definitely.
Is that a forward thought?
It's definitely a forward thought. As we're gathering the data, we have analytics that we can gather over time. We're not there yet, but we're thinking that way, obviously, yes.
When did you first board your first customer or first set of resumes and first recruiter?
Our first customer came on a year and a half ago, maybe, in a private alpha, kind of. It might have been 2 years ago, but yeah. We were coding for quite a while in order to have a competitive product.
Is that, any more questions from judges? If not, thanks, Aaron.
Great,
Once
thank
again,
you.
big applause. So now we'd like to bring up the second pitch, which is going to be Siren.mobi. Katrina and is David here as well? Okay, excellent. Come on up. That sounded kind of like Price is Right, which I didn't mean to do.
Hello, everyone. I am Katrina Hess, the co-founder and COO of Siren. This is David Golightly. He is our CTO. And we're very honored to be here. Thank you for taking the time to hear about Siren. Yes. So we are very busy these days. Everybody has super busy lives, and it's still a human need for us to connect with a like-minded partner. Current online dating sites don't work very well because they are filled with fake accounts, and the content that people present about themselves is highly exaggerated or inaccurate. It also cultivates an unsafe place for women. They feel creeped out and they don't come back. So the way Siren solves this is that we focus on having a stellar reputation, and we provide fresh daily icebreakers for our users to be able to naturally start banter with themselves. And we engage women and make it feel good for them to use the app. We have these anonymity features where a woman can make her profile visible to someone she is interested in. And also, you cannot message each other unless you are connected. So online harassment is zero. We have had 0 reports, not only from men, not only from women, but also from men. Our daily icebreakers are actually created by local celebrities. So they hold court for the entire week. This week we had Nancy Guppy. And they ask questions like, what brings you back to childhood? And through these answers, this is actually how your profile gets built. And our users have context to be able to talk to each other. And it's actually working really well for our users. We have twice the monthly retention of Match.com. Our age ratio is consistently 53% to 47%, around that range across all age ranges. And yeah, 0 reports of harassing messages since we launched, and it's great. Men are loving our site, even though we have a focus on keeping women safe, because they are receiving 65% more responses, and they stay twice as long as any other social discovery app. An example of that is we're at 65%. Match, Tinder, those guys are somewhere between 2 to 5% for male users getting responses. We are growing quite rapidly. We have 7% growth per week right now, and we have 6,000 users in Seattle, and we're looking to grow to 10,000 by the end of the year. Now, this market is well established. It's a huge market. People spend about $240 a year on dating sites. I don't know if you've heard, but Match.com has just gone public. So it's an established market. And we are planning on making money in 3 different ways. So the first one is we become a two-way marketplace for our users and local businesses. An example of that is if you look at an organization like SIF, and they have, with their campaign, we cross-market with our Siren users. Our Siren users have a place to go, and we become a national online to offline transition point. We have a very small and nimble team, totally badass. David created the first native iOS app for Zillow. I have been in the corporate graphic design and marketing world for 17 years, and our CEO and co-founder, Susie Lee, is a badass in PR and business development. And we have a powerful team of advisors, and yeah, we're super grateful to have our team. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Now we'd like to move on to the judge questions, please.
I was curious if you did any consumer insight research directly with the users to kind of get that context idea.
No, actually, the way our discovery model for Siren, that interview format, that was Susie's idea right from the beginning, and it came from how would we want to present ourselves on a dating app, and we're just not people that like to market ourselves in that way. So we decided, and this was very much a core value for her, was she didn't want people to have to write about themselves. We wanted other users to read about them in a way that was more like an interview. And it's much more natural. People are, you can really tell the core of a person just by how they answer their questions. Like you can tell who has kids, you can tell what some of their values are, and it's really, really a fun way to get to know them.
Do you have anything in place to get consumer feedback from your users other than just scanning the site?
Absolutely. We have we are in communication with our users through email and also inside the app, and our users are quite vocal, so they let us know whenever they have a question.
So you said that the questions that celebrities ask are a way to kind of build your profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything on top? I mean, anything beyond that? I mean, in many of the online dating sites, you create an initial profile, and that helps match with other people. So if the celebrity questions are the way to build profile, I mean, I might have to wait for a while before I get a question answered, right?
Well, no, that's a really good question. So we do have some basic information. People are able to upload their photos. We are all absolutely visual people, and we don't penalize anyone for wanting that visual affirmation. And also we have, the very basics, like what your age range is, where you're located. You can write a little something about yourself, but that's not the beef, that's not the heart of your profile. And so, oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I have to answer one of those questions before I get matched with somebody?
Well.
Yeah, so, the way that we approach it right now, we actually have made it our philosophy to ask a minimal amount of questions up front that are standard out-of-the-box questions that you find on other dating sites, and we've been striving to actually reduce the number of generic questions that we ask of everybody. Instead, what we find is that users choose which questions they answer, and that is also an expression of their personality. So you can find out a lot about somebody and what their interests are just by what questions they choose. In the future, we hope to have the capability to also match people based on similarity in those answers that they have given and the questions that they have chosen to answer.
Yeah, so right now, like the matching is done by the users. They choose who they are interested in connecting with. And we do have in our roadmap plans to suggest people to other people. So it's like, oh, hey, this person's liked your answer like 5 times, or you guys have answered, you guys have liked each other, over the past 2 weeks. I mean, maybe you should send each other a message. But ultimately, we want the human to decide.
Can you talk a little bit more about marketing plans growing outside of word of mouth and locally?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. It's been on the top of our mind all year, and we've really used Seattle as our incubator. We are from Seattle, and our relationships are in Seattle, so we really wanted, the app to work for our community. And so with marketing, we are starting to practice this online to offline business relationship with the local businesses. And with that model, that's actually the way that we're going to launch Siren into new cities. So Susie has, she's 1 degree away from every cultural institution throughout the US. And so it's a natural pairing for us. And yeah, we've gotten a lot of press, but we don't want to talk about that. A lot of very positive press.
I think we have time for one more question.
Just a quick question on the funding. Where you are now in terms of relative to plans to scale out and to market, the roadmap around the matching algorithms, where are you? Do you have enough money in the bank? Are you seeking money now?
I think we're constantly going to always be seeking money. Currently, we are in a place where we are closing out our convertible notes round, which will take us through the next, I think, through spring quarter. And so, the more money, the more opportunity. But we definitely are full steam ahead with what we have.
That said, we do have in our roadmap a revenue model we're planning to introduce in the next year and a half, and that will hopefully bring us into liquidity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Siren. I might have to get on that platform myself. I don't know why I'm sharing that here in a public way, but I just did. So next up is faster bids. So, and Jason's going to take us through what he's got.
Ready? Hi, my name is Jason. I am the CEO and co-founder of Faster Bids. Faster Bids is a powerful pricing tool for the $1 trillion building supply industry. We combine all of the pricing data for your custom configured products. We put it into a single platform. We serve remodeler contractors, lumberyard retailers, ERP, and manufacturing. So most of you have had your house remodeled, and there's various challenges with that. But there's a layer of insanity that you have never been exposed to. Our story begins with Sally Homeowner. Now she hires Joe Contractor, or needs a bid from Joe Contractor. She says, Joe, I need a few skylights, decking, molding, windows, etc. But it's not just any decking, it's 3 different types. And she wants some various options on windows and various options on doors. So he says, I'll be back to you in 2 weeks, right? That's how long it takes for a bid. But Sally's a smart shopper. There's actually 3 different contractors that she wants bids from, right? Because she's a good shopper, she wants to get the best price. So you can see the bid continuing to expand. Now what's Joe do? Joe goes and sees Barry Building Supply. Now, there's also 3 Barrys, right? Because he wants to get the best bid along with the price. So you can see this problem continuing to expand. So what does Barry do? The next thing Barry's going to do is actually fax the bid to the manufacturer, correct? And that's really happening. So there are a number of price books and there are a number of legacy softwares as well in this pricing model. So let's look at this from the highest level. You got Sally dealing with 3 Joe Contractors. You got Joe Contractor dealing with 3 Barry Building Supplies. And you got Barry Building Supply dealing with multiple manufacturers through multiple pricing, product, and potential platforms. So Mark, the manufacturer, has to get all of this data back to the various Barrys, all the way back to the various Joes, that finally get the bid back to you. And now you know why it takes 2 weeks. This is a mess. So Faster Bids is the solution. We've taken all of the data from the major door brands and we put them into our program. All of the window brands, same way. And all of the decking and siding and molding from the major brands in the nation and put them into a single platform. So with Barry armed with this, what can he do now? So Barry's the one who pays us, by the way. So he transfers this technology to Joe Contractor, who also pays us, and he can do real-time quoting with the homeowner at her house. Upstream, it's also the same data that the manufacturer will use to place orders. It's also the same data that creates seamless integration with ERP systems. So no more price books, no more faxing, and no more legacy software. How big is our market? Hoover's tells us there's 48,000 lumber yards. There are 90,000 significant remodelers. There's 150,000 builders. Our simple TAM model is 1.03 billion from the bottom up. So we're a little over a year old. We have 121 current customers. We're at a $24,000 a month run rate. And that includes an Epicor pre-buy arrangement. Now, Epicor is the largest ERP in the lumberyard space. They're pre-buying 400 licenses from us to test into their 15,000 users. Our customer floodgate is about to open. Crystal Light Skylights is launching their web app currently to 1,200 new customers in our market, and Alliance Store launches later this year. So with that pre-buy, we'll be at 275,000 for this year. We project 1.04 for next, 6.4 followed by 20.4. Now, we have a rock star team. I have 25 years experience in the window and door industry. Jake, our CTO, is a brilliant developer. We're supported on the front end by Josiah, and Dalton is our mobile developer. Now, we are disrupting this industry, as you can tell, and we're clearly out of the gate. Thank you for your time. I keep this.
Thank you.
And that's 5 minutes, by the way.
Jason, you said that the primary customers were the the contractor and the distributor.
Mm-hmm.
Does Sally at any point in time use the solution, or is it through show it to her via Joe Contractor?
The consumer model is phase 3. So the phase 1 would be your retailer, so you're done lumber. Phase 2 is a contractor. Phase 3 would be a consumer-facing model. So all of which are usable at any time. There's no additional development.
So one of the challenges, I think, the 2 weeks I understand, the bigger problem typically tends to be after getting the bids. Even if I get the bids, that's not a problem. Even getting to the point of getting bids is the challenge. Are you thinking about addressing that, or is it still, okay, there are so many contractors and then we'll figure it out later at a different point in time?
We're not addressing that at this point. Lead generation is something that we've avoided at this point. So.
I was curious about the data integration. So if you've had to go across the entire value chain and somewhat integrate common data sets, is that how you've onboarded all of your suppliers? Is that something that you're having to do yourselves, or is there some other standardization going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, no, it's a big hammer. There is no easy way to get around digitizing thousands of pages of data. And it's why it's never been done. That's exactly why we're the only ones in the space.
So is that the value prop, the kind of the workflow and the ability for all of these different providers to have their content presented in part of this configuration? That's the primary value prop?
That's exactly the value proposition. Right now they're using multiple platforms, from pricing books to software to faxing to manufacturers. It's like I drew all that mess.
Yeah.
So it's just a single platform.
And what does your roadmap look like in terms of onboarding more content and more manufacturers? And how's that
Well,
map actually?
we're
look like
about to
going?
be yanked onto a national stage. We're at a user conference for that ERP company in 2 weeks in San Antonio. So we will have national exposure and likely get drug into a national stage, which we'll happily go. So.
Jason, I'm not sure if I understand if there's a problem here. It looks like the prices on many of these items don't change on a daily basis, right? So the contractor would typically have a quarterly or a half-yearly price list from manufacturers. So if they really wanted to, they can give a bid based on their last quarter price, right? It's not like a commodity trading where things change on a daily basis. So what are you trying to solve? I mean, is it the fact that pricing changes on the manufacturing side quite often, or is it something else?
The problem that's being solved is the custom configuration problem. So yes, you may have a particular pricing from years gone by, but that ability to reach that price in real time is next to impossible. So that right now it's managed through a price book, and the price may or may not change. But the fact that you have to go to it for each individual brand,
But
that's
don't
the problem.
manufacturers give a price list to the contractors and say, this is good for 6 months, 8
Sure.
months?
Yeah.
So can I not use that to?
You certainly can.
Okay.
Right. And it's in multiple platforms. Or an 800-page book.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Jason. So today we have one more last-minute addition. So this is going to be Camp Native, and Chris is going to show us what he's got.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Chris Rimple. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Camp Native. We help people list, discover, and reserve the perfect campsite online. Think of us as hotels.com for camping. Now, you might not realize it, but camping in America is a huge business, and over $10 billion is spent annually on campsite reservations alone. Even so, finding the perfect campsite can be quite hard. Only 65% of all campgrounds are on the web today, and less than 25% offer any form of online reservation. We're going to fix that. We offer an online platform that is free for campgrounds and that we monetize via a small fee paid at the time of reservation by the camper. We're targeting private campgrounds first because they make up 70% of the campground inventory in America, which you might not realize if you live in Washington like me, because we have so many state and federal public campgrounds. There's 17,000 private campgrounds in America, generating 60 million annual reservations at an average price of $50 per reservation. We charge a 10% transaction fee. This represents a $300 million opportunity for us from private campgrounds alone. Future expansion includes public campgrounds, which are another $700 million opportunity, expansion into Canada, other international markets, offering an activity booking platform, so if you want to go fly fishing and you need a tour guide and you also need a campsite, we'll bring those together for you, and we offer a piece of that revenue to the campground operator as well. We can also offer outdoor equipment and other things, and we can even be an Airbnb-like service if you want to make your yard available for camping that 1 week out of the year when the big music festival comes to town. We do have some competitors in the space, but they're almost exclusively focused on public land campgrounds, and they generally charge $500 to $1,000 per year for listing fees. As a result, their inventory is very, very small. Even campgrounds.com, who's been around for 15 years, only has 800 client customers. We've made a great deal of progress. We were founded earlier this year. We graduated from the 9 Mile Labs Accelerator in May. We are already live with reservations, and we are taking reservations and taking fees at this point. I'll explain a little more about our growth in the next couple slides, but we assume that it's going to take a lot of phone calls to reach every campground owner in America. And in fact, alone, we've had 1,500 campground profile pages updated. We've spoken to 725 or more campgrounds. 200 onboards are scheduled with those campground owners. And our reservation acceptance rate is greater than 25%, when we projected only 5% would sign up for our reservation services. And that, again, is a free service. Here's our revenue projections. You'll see it's a very cash-rich business. In 2019, with only 16% of the private campground market captured and excluding all of the other revenue opportunities that I mentioned, which we will go after in later years, we're generating over $50 million a year on reservation pieces alone. We have an offer. I won't go into that here since we may have some unaccredited investors here. What I will share is that we have found a lead investor that's bringing $750K, and we're going to close the round within the next week and a half. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hey, Chris. It's nice to see you again. Talk to us, how does it get into the public campground space?
Sure.
What are the adoption blockers there?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, 70% of the campgrounds in America are privately owned. There is already a competitor who you might say owns the federal campground space, a company called Reserve America. They've been around since 1984. Their contract with the government is renewed for 10-year periods of time. We're not interested in bidding against them. Thankfully, open data laws are going to make their data available to us. So starting next year, we'll be able to take reservations on their behalf and earn our percentage without ever having to compete for that government contract. So next year, we will expand our database to include all of the federal public campgrounds, which is about 3,000 additional campgrounds. We'll also move into the states. We may choose to try to bid on some of those state contracts, or we may just use the open data laws to get access to the data and be able to book on their behalf.
When you say book on their behalf, is that a already done agreement, or you're going to pursue that, or what's
Well, we would pursue the agreement, but if they follow the open data laws, they will have to make available to us APIs that allow us to access their reservation platform through ours. The end result is people can come to our site and be able to book any campground in America, public or private, and they never have to go to any other site to do it.
How many people do you have now when you're talking about ramping the private campgrounds and you're phone calling?
Sure.
Probably an expensive and a bit of a slower path?
You'd think so, but it's not. We have a small sales office in South Dakota where a fully loaded salesperson costs us less than $24,000 a year, full-time, and we are able to reach roughly 30 to 60 campgrounds per day, per person. We have 5 part-time salespeople right now, and we're growing. Our projection has us reaching 100% of the campgrounds on a first-call basis in about 5 months, in fact. And even with repeat calls and call-to-contact ratios and the rest, we'll get through every campground in America in less than 12 months. And so we get to break even in 15 months or less on this plan.
And that's based on the private primarily, not the
That's
public
based
plans coming in.
exclusively on the private. That's without public, that's without activity booking, it's without equipment, it's without any of the other revenue sources that we have available.
And this is on the current raise you have. I saw your cash balance, I think, turning positive in 2016 and 2017?
Actually, we'll reach, right now our current projections based, this is wrong, I'm sorry, it's based on a 1 million raise. We will reach break even in June of 2016 at our projected rate, and we're beating our projected rate right now.
Thank you.
Just kind of continuing with the operating income, is there anything you need to do with these 75% campgrounds that don't have any reservations online? Like, are you having to do training, any equipment?
Not a
It's
lot.
just a conversation.
Yeah, not a lot. So there's, what we're finding, and we anticipated this anyway because we've done a lot of market research before me, really, campgrounds break into 3 groups among the privates. You've got the mom and pop shops that are still running on paper that only take reservations by phone. They're super excited to work with us for 2 reasons. 1, they can get reservations nights and weekends when they wouldn't answer the phone anyway. And 2, they're not taking any credit cards today. So for us, we're providing their first opportunity ever to take credit card transactions in a world that frankly has moved to online payment forms. Additionally, as I mentioned, most of them don't have any form of web presence, or if they do, it was something built in the 90s. It looks terrible. So their utilization is very low. They're running 40 to as much as perhaps 60% utilization. Just working with us can easily bring them 10, 15, 20% increase in revenues through utilization improvements because we will expose their campground on the web and bring them traffic. Again, if you live in Washington, we're accustomed reasonable online booking for our campgrounds. But what you probably don't know is there's 500 private campgrounds in Washington State, and you couldn't name any of them. Why? Because most of them don't have a website, and they're hidden away in the backwoods, and you don't even know they exist. We're going to expose all of those to go along with the existing roughly 400 public campgrounds that are already available in Washington. Questions? Good job. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. And so that's the pitch portion. I thought that was pretty impressive by all the pitches. And now the judges are going to go deliberate and make a decision.